welcome to our Friday. It's nice to have you all here. When we first started, we got to see Mary and her children outside playing in the snow, and I love that. They built a snowman this morning and they were outside playing. So I think that's wonderful to take advantage of that. We have several friends here today, and it's nice to be with you. And it's nice to have some back that haven't been here for a while. So always good to see who is available to come on Fridays. So what are we going to talk about today? It's March. We can talk about any of the topics for March. We can talk about any of the things that you've been doing in your own life, things that you've been doing to warm your own heart, things that are working for you, things that aren't, questions that you might have, and think maybe some of your friends here would be able to help you with any of those kinds of things. I'm going to turn it over to Lindsay.
All right, I just bribed my children to be quiet, so we'll see how that goes. I don't know. The only thing that's been on my mind that I've been working on this week, well, not the only thing, let's be real, we're moms. We don't just work on one thing, right? My main focus has just been like physical health and diet, and that's what I've been focused on. And it, like, you could tie that into well-educated heart principles, right? Like, we need to take care of our bodies so that our hearts are open and we're able to have clear minds and all of those things. And I already feel better, and I'm only 4 days in, but I'm feeling the effects of like just clean eating and drinking more water and just all of those good things. And so that's kind of what's on my mind today. I don't know. That doesn't mean we need to talk about it, but just Amy's here. I love Amy. Yay, this is so fun. But yeah, I want to hear from you guys. What did you guys come today on? What's on your hearts this morning? Oh, Melanie's going through some detox stuff too. Yeah, it's great. I just was addicted to sugar. So I'm like, okay, I got to get off the sugar. And so, yeah, I just started doing lemon water and celery juice. And my husband's doing the keto diet for a year. So I just kind of jumped on that with him. And anyway, it feels good. Yeah, see, Melanie says it was affecting her nerves. Totally. It was just making me, yeah, irritable, and then that pacing the kitchen all day long, like looking for a snack, looking for like, is there cookies in the cupboard? Is there chocolate hidden anywhere in the house? Like that desperate, like constant need of like, what am I gonna eat? I was tired of feeling, yeah, Lori, inflammation and cravings. Yes, like I was just tired of feeling like a slave to like my like hunger, but it wasn't really hunger. It was just like this addiction to food. I don't know. So anyway, first time in my life that I've really felt like, okay, I need to get this under control. I've always been blessed with like a super fast metabolism and all of those things. And I just took it for granted and ate whatever I wanted and figured it would work its way out when I slept, but I'm getting older. Let's see, Lori says it's a good focus for spring, a new year, clean body. Yes, like we clean out our houses, right? Spring cleaning for our houses. And I did most of that. I kind of lost some steam there towards the end of it, but I got a lot of my house cleaned out. So yeah, now I'm feeling like I need to clean up my body and clear my mind, and it'll feel good. So yeah, I'm talking too much. What do you guys have to say? Oh.
Well, I've had something on my mind the last couple of days, just through the things I've been going through, being a mom. I guess we could talk about detox, but I think I'm just sharing, with my older kids and things like that. And it's interesting as, the things I'm going through right now. My mind, I'm a ping pong, my brain's a ping pong, so bear with me. That you see those memes or those stories or whatever that's like, oh, I'm starting a savings fund for my children's therapy when they get older, kind of thing, right? And as my kids have obviously gotten older, and especially with my oldest at the moment, the things that they blame you for, or you didn't do when they were young, kind of thing. And when you think you did the best you know how with the tools that you have, right? Because we all don't have all of the tools in our toolkit. And so I think that's been really kind of hard for me this last couple of weeks to hear some things, and to have, how do I put it, have other people try to quote unquote help you be a better parent. Oh, well, maybe, especially from people that love you, family members, your husband, your mother-in-law, or something like that, that are like, oh, you need to, just be more positive and just do this and just do that. And I think you almost get to a point of, oh, I better hurry because my husband's about to come home. That you just almost start to reflect, like, what the crap? I thought I did my best. What in the world, kind of thing. And then, it kind of takes you through a roller coaster of emotions. And I will say menopause does not help with this at all. But that I started thinking, how do I incorporate the atonement into this? Of feeling like being blamed, for my 22-year-old being blamed for whatever, the lack I did as a parent, and having people come and try to help me, do this, or you should do that, or, that kind of thing. Right. And it's just, I don't know, the last couple of days, I was like, how do I incorporate the atonement into this? Because I'm feeling like I want to kind of, part of me wants to give everybody the finger and say, you know what, I'm a good parent. I did the best I know how. Like, I don't know, like, what else do you want from me? And then at the other part is like, you feel terrible, right? You kind of want to crawl under the covers and say, well, then I give up. I don't know what else to do, kind of thing. So it's just a whole mix of emotions of things like that. So I've just been thinking about just the atonement, and how to incorporate it with this whole motherhood thing. That's been on my brain the last couple of days. So anyway. Yeah.
Amy, that's so hard. I've been through, just a little bit of that. Kids in a tough place, wanting to, or other people, right? And it can happen in all different relationships where somebody wants to blame somebody else. And we take it so personally because we're mothers. And that is our biggest, most wonderful thing that we do. And we've sacrificed so much for it. So then to be told that, that we did something wrong, or we didn't do enough, or it didn't matter, or something, to kind of be attacked in that arena, is so, so hard. Just know that you're not alone at all, because it happens in all the different stages. I know Lindsay and I have talked about feeling beat up, used as a punching bag, kind of.
Yeah, and feeling like, what did I do wrong? I feel that all the time, but with younger kids, and just, I have to be careful what I say, but just have that feeling of like, what, where did I go wrong? Like, I totally messed up somewhere. And I said that to someone one time, and they're like, why would you think this is your fault? Like, your kids can take the responsibility for some of it's like, some of it's their fault. And so that helped me feel a lot better. So now sometimes when I'm having a hard time, I'm like, that's on you. Like, I did my very best. I followed the spirit. I showed up where I was supposed to show up. Like, that's on you. Like, if you're gonna have a hard time or whatever, I'm really sorry. I'll be here when you're ready to come back and calm down. Whatever it is that's going on in their lives, I'll be here and I'll love you through all of it. But you got to figure it out. I don't know. And I know it's totally different with older teenagers and then younger, but I feel like the principles are still kind of the same. Like, you can be consistent, you can be that rock for them, that like, you're there, you're stable, you're mom, and then they can come to you when they're ready, and they might have their moments, their tantrums, and then when they can calm down, and we can pray for them and pray that they'll find what they need and that they'll have the Spirit to help them and comfort them. But I think we cannot take all of that on. Like, moms would just curl up in a ball and never come out of their beds if we had to take all of that on. Like, there's no way we could do it. So you just have to, but it's hard because you don't want to see them.
It's super hard. It's super hard, especially with this 22-year-old that pushes you away so much, and then you have family members just say, well, you got to let them go. And you're like, I feel like I'm letting them go. What am I not? It's almost like the response that you get maybe from family members is like, is it all in my head? Am I not doing, you know what I mean? You're starting to second guess yourself a little bit. And so I think that's why I just was like, where do I turn to? Yes, I turn to the Lord, but it's like, I feel like I need more, like, help me, help me right now. I don't know how to explain it, but it's just been interesting because it's been hard in a sense, because this child is, anyway.
Amy, I'm sure it's been really hard, not just in a sense. I'm sure it's the hardest thing you're going through right now. And I'm so glad that you're coming here and talking about it. And I messaged Emily and asked if she'd come on, because Emily, I know, has some things that she could share. Thank you.
I was just going to say that for me, raising children, I have a couple, I now have 3 kids who have left. One has started a family, has hit that age. And for me, the atonement helps because it brings me peace, because I know I haven't been a perfect parent. I don't know a perfect parent. We're all doing our best in whatever role we are, whether we're a parent or we're the kid or we're the neighbor or whatever, we're doing our best, but sometimes it's just not enough. And that's where the atonement comes in. And I pray, and I've had times that have been really hard as a parent in different stages, and every kid is so different. And I pray and I just say, Heavenly Father, this is it. You paired us up. You said I should be their parent. You put them here and you have perfect knowledge. You know exactly what they need. You know exactly what I need. You know exactly how this is going to go, what this path is. And I'm just here in this little spot trying to figure it out. And so this is it. I'm doing my best. If you need something different from me, you have to give it to me, because I'm giving my all. And that is when the atonement comes in, and you get peace and you get direction, and it doesn't come all at once. Amy, I feel your first, that like, right now, I need something right now, this frantic, because this is your child. This is your family. You have a vision when you start on this path of what you want. And so you implement it and you do everything you can, but then when it goes awry, you're like, well, this isn't the plan. This isn't what, and you're like, I gotta fix it. I gotta find, and you get frantic, I guess. And that's completely normal. But those just heartfelt, tear-filled prayers to my Heavenly Father of like, this is it. You have to step in, and I don't know what it is. And then the trust that you have to have can be really hard to say, okay, I did my part. Now I have to continue, but also watch how it plays out and what usually there's slight course directions we need to make to help in the situation. But when you have people around you saying, well, what about this and what about that? It can be really hard. I've had that say, well, don't you think it was because you da 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 da? And I'm like, who are you? Like, why would that? What? Like, because it makes you feel like you purposely did something, or you should have known better. And that's not the case. You are doing the absolute best you can do. And it is hard. And anyway, I think that's my main point, is it is just hard. And I am sorry that it's hard. And I wish that it wasn't.
I love that,
Yeah.
Emily. Thank you. That's so real. And just like what you said, Emily, I love that we can feel from each other those feelings, those emotions, because I felt that from Amy too. So thank you. And Mary, sweet Mary, you had something to share.
Yes. Okay, finally got it off mute. Something that I do when I'm feeling really frustrated or sad or something is I write about it. I say, I feel frustrated because, or just a couple weeks ago, I feel left out because, just try to get, and I write it all out on a piece of paper. And then something that you can do is you can, there's a couple different options. You can reach for it and then just tear it up and throw it away. Or if you have a barbecue, we call it write and burn at our house. And so you just write out all your frustrations, and then you just tear it up or burn it or get rid of it, just so it's out of you, so it's not, doesn't get triggered as easily. And something I thought of you could do with your son that is a technique I've used as well, where you just write a letter to your son, but you don't give it to him. It's just for you to share all of your frustration of, or whatever you're feeling about him, saying, dear son, I don't know your son's name, just say, dear son, I'm feeling frustrated, or I'm feeling sad, I'm feeling mad that you blamed me for this stuff when I did my best. And you just write him this letter, this of getting all of your emotions out, and then you can do the same thing, just read it and get rid of it, or you can keep it if you want to, and you can even have him write you back, say like, oh sorry, this is the daughter, I thought it was the son, the child. And then you can have them write, hey, dear mom, I'm sorry I didn't that. You just kind of finish the conversation with that person. It doesn't have to be a son or daughter, but like I've done that, with my husband. Dear husband, I'm frustrated about this. And then I use my hand to write back saying, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't know you felt that way, just to help me feel validated, whether I share it with him or not. Usually some letters like that you don't want to share because it's not going to help the situation. So those are just some thoughts that I had.
I like that, Mary. Lindsay confirmed that too. Amy, you saw, I'm sure, the comments. Go ahead, Amy.
I did. I really appreciate both. And that's funny. I was actually thinking of the writing thing, just writing it down, thinking of writing down the thought, but then countering the thought of like something positive about it. I was thinking, and I loved Emily's, because the atonement to me, was just like, how I'm always like, what do I say? What is the, that kind of thing. And so when you were just mentioning certain words and phrases to use or whatever, I was like, oh yeah, that makes sense to me. So I appreciate that.
Well, and Amy, I'm so glad you brought it up, because that's the thing that we often don't do. And when we're in the middle of a thing, it's hard to see clearly. And it's so good to have a friend to talk to so they can point out the obvious, that we're just feeling so many emotions and we've got all this going on that we're just not seeing that thing that's right in front of us. And then a friend can say, what about this? Or have you tried this? Or whatever. And so many times that has happened where the answer that I give to other people, I can't think of for myself, and then I'll say something to Melissa or Lindsay or, or whoever, and they'll, well, Lori, have you tried this? Like it's obvious, duh, but it wasn't there. I couldn't access it because I was just so caught up in all the emotions and everything. Don't you think that being a mother is probably the hardest thing to do here? I do. I do. And I've had lots of wonderful moments and not a whole bunch of negative ones. But those negative ones have just about, like Lindsay said, left me just curled up in the fetal position, not wanting to come out. So I don't know anything else that does that as much to you.
I don't want to downplay anything, Amy, but on Instagram this morning, I saw this. It says, your problems adjust to their true level of importance after a hard workout and a good night of sleep. But sometimes our problems are problems. They still feel bigger if we're just tired. And
It's true. Menopause sucks. You're up half the night because you're sweating like a, yeah, it's true.
yeah, so it like magnifies everything, and everything just feels so much bigger than it should. I don't know. But again, some things they just are heavy.
And I
My-
love what Melissa put in the comments. Melissa, can you come on or not?
Yeah.
I know sometimes you can't, but I would love for you to share that. And if not, if I don't see your face in a second, there we go.
Hi. I just wrote that young adults often will burn bridges with the people they're connected with. Sometimes it's a fear response. They're scared of what's happening in the future or moving ahead. And because they feel like they need to be a grown-up, they'll say, I have to be by myself, I have to do it independently, and they'll burn those bridges. Sometimes it's just a developmental phase. They're like, okay, the next step is this, and they don't want the oversight in our culture, and a variety of reasons. So graduation in our culture, missions are big times where that happens. Any big life choices, if someone gets pregnant or is getting married, any of those bigger changes, life choices, are times where often they will burn bridges because brain development and stress. And all sorts.
I agree with that. Actually, my friend who's a therapist, she said, moms always get a bad rap. She's like, she said, because she said, the child will show us and give us their worst and do their worst to us because they know ultimately we love them. In the end, we love them. So we get all of it. It's always the mom, not the dad so much, but it's always the mom, because we ultimately, they know we ultimately love them. So we get all the crap. And I was like, well, that's not fun. That's not fun.
And they do this even if they don't have parents. This is something they do. When I worked in foster care with the young adults and teenagers, about February to April, you would just hear caseworkers down the hall being like, oh, this one's hit the phase. Just when graduation was coming up for our older teenagers, our seniors, you just hear them. It was just a common thing through. Oh, this one's going. And they'd burn ties with their employers, with their foster parents, with their school counselors, with their caseworkers, whomever they had connections with.
I really appreciate that. Thank you.
That's super interesting too. That's really interesting. Go ahead, Mary.
Oh, yeah, as you were talking, Amy, I was reminded, I've been listening to a lot of Gordon Neufeld talks, and when I was listening to just yesterday, he was talking about how kids need a safe place to share their emotions. And I think that's sometimes why mothers feel like they're getting the brunt of all their children's stuff, because they feel safe. And knowing that he feels safe maybe to share that frustration with you, instead of taking it, it's hard not to take it personally as a mom, but just realize, oh, he feels safe to share that with me. I don't know, that would help at all. That's just something I thought of.
I know something I just listened to with Gordon Neufeld this week too was that as our kids get older, we often hear that they like start to separate from us and like ignore us. And he's like, no, it's actually us. Like, we will tend to like not really know what to do with them. And so we just kind of pull away from them unintentionally. And it opened my eyes, because I have a teenage daughter, and I thought I found myself doing that, like where I'm like, oh, she's busy. She probably doesn't really want to talk to me, so I'll just leave her alone. And like, I was separating. So I've made it a point now to like go lay in her room, like go to her, like be excited to see her, and like remember those things, so that keep that connection. So when you said that your family is telling you just let her go, I thought, no, don't let her go. Like, But if she's like needing space, then obviously that's a good thing. But like show up in other ways. Send her a little treat, give her a gift card to her favorite place to eat, or like just keep showing up. Keep, I don't know. I think that would be important. I know for me, as I did this, I left home early, I got married young, um and yeah, I would have appreciated those little things that my mom would have kept doing, just, and she would just send stuff or drop by with a little goodie bag or whatever, and that's it. And just leave it and go. And I'm sure that was hard for her that I was just gone, but she just kept doing her thing, trying to be there. I could tell this is really tender for you. I'm getting I'm getting teared up, so I'm gonna.
It is just because it's I don't do that, or I've tried, and it's hard when you want to hug your child and she just pushes you and pats you and says, "Thanks, Mom." You know, it's hard.
Yeah.
And right now my mindset is fine, I'll just let you go, not do anything. But that did strike a chord with me. I need to just show up.
Yeah, in whatever way that she'll and it could be just little sneaky things so that you're not in her space, but like you've left something for her to find later, or just those little ways that she knows Mom's still there. I can go to her because you're keeping in there, but not overwhelming her or anything.
Yeah, there are so many ways that you can do that. But from my own experience, don't trust your own self and your ideas, because ours are going to tend to be, oh, I'm just going to sit and cuddle with her because that's going to make her feel better, because that's what would make me feel better, right? And not necessarily. And so inspiration is key here. It is so important, and you'll feel inspired to do a thing, and you'll think, how the heck is that going to help anything? That's nothing. And I don't even get to talk to it. And then you have to remember, it's not about me. It's not about me. It's not about what I want. It's not about what I feel. But it's about how it makes them feel. And so sometimes it'll be just the silliest thing, and they won't, and don't ever expect that you're going to hear some kind of, oh, thanks, Mom, I love you too. But just do it because you're trying to do what Lindsay said. You're showing up. You're just being there for them, every time, until they get through that and come back around, which they do. They do. Some of them just from having friends with kids. Some of them are still in that process, and it's taking a lot longer than Mom wanted, but they come around. If you're giving without expectation, it fixes itself eventually. But I think personal inspiration is key.
So there's something I've been thinking of sharing that I've been pushing to the side because I feel like it could come off as trite in such a heavy situation, but I feel like I should share it. So just bear with me as I try to explain my thoughts. So one principle I've learned that I don't always remember to incorporate, but is that when I'm going through a hard time, to try to find something about it to be grateful for. And I know that when we think of making gratitude lists, we tend to think of like, I'm struggling with my kids. Let me think of what I'm grateful for. I'm grateful for food. I'm grateful for clothes. Like that's totally unrelated though. So what I'm talking about is finding something in the hard thing, as hard as that might be to finding something that's good about it. So as a quick example, as I was kind of learning this principle, there was one day that I lost my keys, and I had actually lost it for like a week or so, but I just kept looking around and not finding it. But I had to take my son to a music class. My husband was gone. He had the only other keys. And I needed to get him to class. So I searched and searched and searched the house, couldn't find the keys. And I thought, okay, what can I find that's good about this? Well, you know what? I cleaned up several piles that I've been needing to clean in my house. That's a good thing. Okay, well, I still didn't find the keys. Let me go walk to where my husband was working because he just happened to work down the street at the time and see if I can get keys from him. So I walked a few blocks, dragging my kids along, trying to hurry, so I was kind of frazzled. because they were all really young. But I thought, you know what? We're going on a walk. We're getting outside, trying to find something good about it while I was really stressed helped to kind of decrease the stress level a bit. And then interestingly, once I got his keys and opened up the van door, I found my keys hiding underneath my daughter's car seat, which just kind of felt like a tender mercy that, I had been trying to find something good about it, and I was kind of blessed for it. So anyway, kind of a long story, but I don't know, your child is talking to you, they're opening up and willing to share a little bit of how they're feeling, to whatever degree, trying to communicate. And it may be small, but I don't know the full experience that you're having, but trying to find something good about it can just help give you a little bit of peace while you're going through it.
I hear you. Hard to do. I hear you though. I will definitely look at that. Yes, when it feels very deep. It feels like it's sometimes hard to do, if that makes sense.
Yeah, for sure. That's
Yeah.
why I hesitated sharing.
But I hear you, and I understand that is for sure. I'll have to, because it's almost put a wedge between her, my husband and I a little bit. So just with the fighting, and you know what I mean. So I know Satan is obviously working really hard on that. So, yeah, but I will. I mean, that's good. It will definitely make me stop for a minute and think, that's for sure. Yeah.
Someone shared in a sacrament meeting one time that when they hit, and I remember this really hit home for me because I felt like I was at rock bottom, but they said when you hit rock bottom, Christ is that rock. Like he's the one that you have nowhere else to go. Like you just feel like there's no hope, like you have nowhere to turn. You have no gratitude, like you can't feel gratitude for much. And he's that rock. And so I feel like that's one thing we can always be grateful for in those really hard times, is that it forces us to turn to our Savior, because you feel like you have nowhere else to go. I mean, you could talk to friends, you could talk to your husband, but really nobody understands completely like our Savior does. And so and it's hard in the moment to feel grateful for that, like you said, but looking back again and again and again, as you continue to go through hard times, you can look back and feel that gratitude, that it's strengthened. It can strengthen your relationship with your Savior as he continues to help you back up again, as you just feel like you've hit rock bottom. He is the rock. So I'm sorry, Amy.
This too shall pass, right?
This too shall pass. Yes.
Sometimes that does help, but it was still really hard. I was going to give you one little tiny thing that helped me a ton. I won't give any names or anything, but my husband said, he actually found a toddler picture of the child, and put it on the side of the refrigerator and told me, just remember, every time you're talking to her, that's who you're talking to. That's the spirit that's inside that little body. She's just having a hard time right now. She's trying to figure it out. She wouldn't attack you and be so negative if she wasn't having a hard time with something right now. So what do you want to do? Do you want to hold her accountable to be an adult right now and treat you with respect in the way you feel like you deserve? Or do you want to help her through this tough time? And that was huge for me. And that helped me so much. It turned my thoughts completely. And I'm not saying that you're doing anything wrong or any of the things you've said, but I just remember being there, or, in a similar situation. I'm not saying I understand completely, but that helped me so much, and I have used that tool for so many things. I'm like, okay, all my friends, give me your toddler pictures. I'm just kidding. But anyway, it was extremely, extremely helpful to remember who I'm talking to and have different expectations, maybe.
I love the idea too. I shared in the comments that contrast helps us see. And I think sometimes even seeing other people's reactions to things helps me go, oh, okay, that's what I just did. Like sometimes you have to like see the negative to go, oh, I need to do the opposite of that, or whatever it is, or just hard times help us to see good times. We wouldn't know the good if we didn't have the bad. I don't know. Now I'm going to start rambling, but I've leaned on that concept of contrast helps us see so many times when I'm in a hard place, because I think, okay, this is hard, but it's going to help me see other things clearer, hopefully. But again, some of that doesn't come until you're like getting through it. But yeah.
Oh, I love that, Lindsay, and you're really good about that. Sometimes your optimism, I'm like, stop it. I just want to complain right now. I just want you to sympathize with me. Stop showing me the brighter, outlook. But it's so good and so important. I'm just kidding. I love that you do that.
Well, because as soon as somebody points out the negative, you're able to see the opposite of that. Like, oh, well, the opposite of that is like, what if we consider this other option? What if that person, is going through something else you don't know about, or whatever it is? You just kind of.
And that is always such a good thing to think, that maybe that other person's going through something right now. It's just when it's so close to home, it's just like ripping your heart out. I mean, I remember thinking of so many very dramatic phrases, but that's how I felt, Amy. So it's super hard. And I wanted to just see, I don't want to make you feel any pressure, but Melissa McCann, do you have any thoughts, anything you want to share? You are so sweet and so tender-hearted as well, and I just wonder if you have some thoughts.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, all this stuff has really just made me feel like a lot of things. I went through a really hard time recently with my son. He was really angry with me, just very hurt and upset, and he had good reason to be. I struggled with alcoholism for many years, and I was not a good parent, and that really hurt him. And he was just really, really, mad at me. And I just, I know I had to ask him to forgive me, and I apologized to him for everything that I had done. And I also had to accept that he is gonna heal. Like, I've done everything that I felt like I could do, and I'm in a better place now, and I've completely turned my life around, and I tell him to try to focus on the positive, on what's happening like right now in our lives. But I understand that he still does have memories of the past, and that was very painful to him. And I just had to accept that he's going to heal on his time, not on my time, and that I'm just going to love him no matter what. I'm just going to, unconditionally love him. If he's maybe going to stay mad at me for the rest of his life, like maybe that's just the way it's going to be. But I'm, always going to continue to love him and to continue to improve myself, and you know, I also like asked Heavenly Father, I just prayed to I asked him to help me to understand how to help my son. And also I asked Heavenly Father to help to heal my son's heart and to help him, you know, to be able to let go and to move forward with his life. And he's been doing a lot better now. He's just in a much better place, and our relationship is just, you know, it's a lot better. And Lori, I do the same thing. I look at him. I look at him like when he's like a little kid. I do that with both of my kids. I just, you know, I see them when they're small, and you know, I just know they're growing up and they're going through different emotions, and it's hard. It's hard growing up. And I don't know. I just love them. I love them no matter what. And I apologize and I recognize the mistakes that I've made, and I just ask them to forgive me, and that's, you know, really all I can do. So
Thank you. Thank you so much for sharing that, Melissa. It's so beautiful. And I think that's such a huge part of it too, is for us to be able to look at our mistakes and say, "Ugh, I'm really sorry. I did that wrong. You know, I made some mistakes and I'm sorry." And I think our kids respect that. They may stay angry for a while. Melissa had, you know, that little bit of a time period with her son as he was kind of processing that, and he's still doing that a little. But to see that that's making a difference, I think that's so sweet. Thank you for sharing, my friend. Mhm. Yeah.
Another resource that it took me a while to find it. Hey, come on. But it's a book that's an ebook that's free. So if you go to motherswhoknow.org, if you scroll down, there's an ebook called Mama Trauma. And I remember reading it a few years ago when my sister was having some mama trauma. And I don't know, the message I got from it was just staying by the tree, like, and the tree is Christ. And how as moms, we want to leave the tree and chase after our loved one that's in pain or hurting, and how that's how Satan can get us caught up is we left the tree, we left Christ. And so I can type the website into the chat, but if you just scroll down to the bottom, you just, I think, send your email. You click on the thing that says Mama Trauma. I don't know if you can see it on my Kindle here, but you click on that and then it takes you to where you can, I think you put in an email and they send you a PDF of the book. And I actually want to read it again because it's been a few years, probably been almost 4 years since I read it. But I'll put that link in the chat.
I love that idea. I love that visual of stay by the tree. Stay there, you know, where you're right there connected to Christ and where they can come back and find you when they're ready. I love that. I know I do this. I would love to hear from any of the others of you who haven't shared yet today. You know, this conversation applies to all kinds of relationships and future, you know, if you're thinking about future. So yeah, Michelle, I was hoping you had something to share.
I do, and I'm actually grateful. This has been on my mind. And I'm thankful for these ladies who have been sharing their stories about their children, because we're going through a similar thing. And I actually have been praying to know what to do. We have a daughter who has been serving a mission, and she's kind of separated herself from us as her parents. And we have felt the same way, like, what did we do something wrong? But to make a long story short, she has decided to come home from her mission a little early, and she has assured us that it's that she feels good about the decision, that she's taken it to the Lord. But anyway, with all that being said, it's been difficult, and I just hearing these other stories from these ladies is and from from everyone is definitely helping me at this point to know how to help her. So I appreciate what everybody's been saying and opening up about it.
Thank you, Michelle. I love that people can talk about, we have a place where we can talk. And I love that we do, because these things are important, and we just don't need to be doing this all by ourselves. Lindsay, go ahead.
Yeah, I just am always amazed that when we feel like nobody will understand, or we're totally alone, or how are we going to do this, the Lord puts people in our lives and things like this where it answers our prayers through each other, and you find out that you're not alone. And I just love that we have such a loving Heavenly Father, that he shows up in these little spaces in our lives. So I'm just grateful for that.
Okay, anybody else that hasn't shared yet or that wants to? Yeah, Amy, please.
Can I just say just really fast, and I'll have to go in a minute. It's interesting that this group today has seriously calmed my nerves. It's just, it's like the sense of peace. It's just, you have no idea. I am like ready to just, blah, kind of thing. And it is just listening and all of that is just, I don't know. It's almost like, yeah, I don't know how to describe it. It's just been calming that I needed, I guess. So, oh, I love that. Yes. And so I thank you really and truly. Thank you guys very much.
Of course. You guys know what this picture is, right? Lindsay, you want to tell?
Yeah, that was the quote that we had our friend paint for us, of the little houses that were each those houses. When we feel like there's only darkness around us, you can look out your window and see those little lights and know that you're not alone. If you need something, there's somebody else out there. There's the little lights, and then the heavens too, the stars are representation that God's always there. He's always that light. We always have people to turn to and him to turn to.
Thank you. I love that.
I've always loved that. We're each little outposts of light that we can turn to, and then we gather here, and I love that. So it is time to wrap up. So I was frantically trying to find something from like the Liahona to like end on to like make this all into one nice sweet package, like Linnell would have. But
Cadence has something.
Yay!
Oh, she's got to go run get it. Sorry. Oh, here we go.
Yesterday we had our Relief Society birthday that I was in charge of, and so I was panicking basically for the past 3 weeks because I was giving the message. And one of the things that I had the sisters do was I brought all these prints from Simple Joy Art, and I put one on each table. And I know this was like me putting myself out there because I know not everybody appreciates it. And so I was just, I was really scared to do it. I didn't know what they'd say. I didn't know if they'd just sit there and not do anything, but I had the little prompt of talk to each other about, I noticed, I wonder, that reminds me of, and hearing them talk about what it reminded them of was just so sweet. But anyway, the poem that I shared is called Out in the Fields with God. The little cares that fretted me, I lost them yesterday, among the fields, above the sea, among the winds at play, among the lowing of the herds, the rustling of the trees, among the singing of the birds, the humming of the bees. The foolish fears of what may happen, I cast them all away, among the clover-scented grass, among the new-mown hay, among the rustling of the corn, where drowsy poppies nod, where ill thoughts die and good are born, out in the fields with God.
Thank you, Cadence. That was beautiful. I don't think we need to add anything else after that. So I hope everyone has a good weekend and a good week until we come back together again.
Thanks everybody for being here. It was beautiful. See what happens when we all gather. It's beautiful. So I hope it is sustaining as well. Just hang on to that feeling and reach out to each other if you need more. And reach out, most importantly, reach up. Thank you, my friends.
Bye, ladies. Love you.